Welcome, curious minds from every corner of the globe, for what promises to be an exciting journey into the future of IDP and ChatGPT. Today, we explore the awe-inspiring world of intelligent document processing and the marvel that is ChatGPT by OpenAI. Today's guest is Mike Hobday, who has been a banker, an insurer, a strategy consultant, an IT strategist, RPA and AI commentator, and influencer. Mike is the former GM of IBM Automation and is now the CEO of Antworks, a global leader in intelligent document processing. So who better to talk about today's topics? Welcome, Mike. How are you?
I'm very well, Kieran. Goodness, I've had a career.
Well, you need promotion, and I'm going to do that for you.
Oh, well, that's brilliant. That's absolutely brilliant. So, no, great topic. So should we crack on?
Absolutely. Let me ask you the first question. I'll jump straight in. No delays whatsoever. Mike, you've been building an IDP company, but is ChatGPT disrupting you? Will it do away with you? Let me know the answer, sir.
Okay. Well, I mean, I'm going to pick up on what you were saying about my past, because when all those years ago, I started work at Barclays and then went on to the Prudential. I learned to process mortgages, to look at insurance policies, all of that stuff. And when I kind of reflect back on that time as a young man, I was really kind of trained to understand what the important data was that I was going to look for in these kind of complex documents. And that would entail being, working with an expert in the field. And then over time, confronted with repetitive work of looking at these documents, I'd learned the patterns of where the data sat in these documents, whether they were legal contracts for mortgages or, as I say, insurance policies. So I'd never read the whole document. I'd recognize the patterns that told me that the data I really wanted was in a particular place. And essentially, that's what IDP does. It takes a complex document rather than a form that can be read by OCR, and you train it to emulate the way in which humans find information by recognizing the patterns in the document. And that's been the history of IDP, and which meant that you could process 600-page documents quickly and extract the data that you wanted and put that into your back-end system. So thus is Antworks and IDP providers. Generally, that's what we've focused on. And it's quite interesting when you contrast that with something like ChatGPT, because it actually consumes all of the information, it reads all of the documents, and you're using that then to extract data, which means you have to process the whole document. And also, of course, in the case of an IDP solution, it's been trained by practitioners who understand the semantics of the industry. And therefore, the fact that a particular term or idea in a document can be conveyed in many, many different and kind of complex ways, particularly when you're talking about, commercial insurance or trade finance, then those nuances are trained for an IDP solution by the expert. In the case of ChatGPT, you're relying on these large language models, which are very general in nature. And they will enhance over time, but it's the convergence of those two which provides a kind of very interesting soup at the moment, which is going to see the IDP market transform, I think, over time. Not replacing, I think they're going to come together and create better solutions for our clients.
Well, I was about to ask you a slightly different question, because when you can see what ChatGPT can do, and when you implement narrow LLMs, in other words, industry-specific LLMs, then that leads to the question, is IDP still going to be around, or is it dead? You're saying it's going to very much be in the soup. How important will it be?
I think the two come together, and we're going through a transformational period, right? So today, in the case of Antworks, we're integrating ChatGPT and LLMs into our whole kind of product matrix. So we can take a 600-page document, find an area of interest, and then apply a large language model to that area of interest. So you're not consuming the whole document, you're looking at a particular element, and you can automate the kind of questions you're asking ChatGPT or the LLM you're using, OpenAI, whatever you're using, to extract much more detailed information. And sometimes there are areas in the document which actually IDP is finding difficult to extract. But again, it can find the area of interest and then apply the model. So that we're already doing. And of course, an IDP solution, or a good IDP solution, is API enabled, API data in, API data out, and therefore we can simply, very easily integrate ChatGPT and like solutions to the workflow that we're developing. But already, we're going beyond that and looking at, for example, can you, for example, use IDP to identify an important paragraph or contractual term, and then compare that with an alternative, right? So what we call a kind of golden term, or golden contractual term, if you like. And then you can apply a model that says, well, how close is this term in this contract with the perfect term that we want? Whether that's I don't know, what could that be? That could be a contractual obligation associated with a pandemic, for example. Typically in insurance, you're looking for, this is the kind of clause that I want, actually what's in this contract, and how do they compare? And you can say, well, if it's 80%, 90% match, then I'll let that go through. If it's lower than that, then I'm going to look at it. So we're already seeing a move really from an IDP solution being purely extraction to a more analytical research capability. And I think that's what we're going to see. So intelligent document processing, I think, as a term in a couple of years' time will probably be put aside, because certainly we see our future not just in extraction, but in the ability to search documents, to provide analysis, not just on an individual document, but across a portfolio of contracts or insurance policies that come into your organization, but in the envelope of your organization, so that data is not being shared externally. And that's the change. It'll be, instead of being intelligent document processing, I think we're going to start to see document workbenches, which are providing services for the front office rather than the middle and back office, where most IDP solutions are focused today.
So if organizations were looking for an IDP solution today, what should they look for? What is the minimum criteria? Because when I'm investing money, I don't want to just do it for next week, next month. I really want to spend cash that's going to stand me in good stead for numbers of years.
Yeah, well, and that's you, Kieran, of course, but it's not every client, because what we find is some clients, perhaps working in a particular area of an organization, have a specific problem today, and are looking for a point solution. So it can be that you're looking for, I don't know, you're in the legal profession, and there is a provider who's got a pre-built model specifically for the issue, for the process, for the document type you have, and that may be the right solution for you, but it's a choice. And in many ways in Antworks we recognize kind of three different models. The first one is this idea of citizen developer. So we're working with US Bank, a very large bank in the United States, where the organization itself is taking an IDP solution to have business users in their risk function, basically automating the documents they read every day. And that plays to a CIO agenda, which says, I can't afford to support multiple vendors providing IDP-like solutions. I need to have one tool, or perhaps one or two tools, that give me the ability to automate document-rich processes across my organization, whether that's in an insurance company in the area of policies, but in the same company, it could be in the HR function reading CVs, or in the finance function reading invoices. And so that enterprise view, I think, is important. aligned with that is this whole agenda of hyperautomation, not particularly a term that I like, but the idea of an orchestration layer which has pre-integration to tools like blockchain, IoT, RPA, so you can orchestrate end-to-end processes. And clearly, intelligent document processing sits in that environment. And for us, we're working very closely with Pega, where we're fully integrated into their Infinity platform, and you can simply drag and drop your IDP solution into the workflow. All of that means you need to have a platform that is agnostic to documents, to industry, and to process. And so, if that's your need, then that's what you need to look for. And then the alternative is, in our case, we've got a long history of working with Marsh McLennan. So we've got deep expertise, not just in the application of the technology around extraction, but also deep expertise in the understanding of the documents associated with commercial insurance. And so we're therefore able to provide our solution not just for an enterprise tool, but specifically pre-configured for some of these deep commercial insurance capabilities. But that doesn't stop an insurer then applying our base tech to their wider environment. And so I think that's the kind of landscape that I'm seeing. And clearly, coming back to this idea of citizen developer, very important for a BPO provider or service provider that's got many clients with nuances both within processes and great variance across processes. So think about your overall, coming back to your question, think about the overall strategy. Am I looking for a point solution to get value quickly, or am I looking for an enterprise solution that gives me lower costs of support and and control across my enterprise? And you have to decide which one's important. And then the last thing, of course, is the conversation we're having here, which is, am I future-proof? So where are the emerging uses of these new technologies, not just ChatGPT, but others, and how that playing into this idea of, document workbench, and how is that embedded already in the solution, and what's the roadmap looking like?
Mike, I thought if I asked you questions, I would get answers, and I certainly have. Thank you so much.
Pleasure, my friend.
IDP, ChatGPT, the future of work, the future of industry, and everything else.
And it's going to transform work. I promise you, it's going to transform work, because we're not going to be spending most of our time reading documents. We're going to be spending our time looking at the information and that's presented to us and be augmented in the decision making, make life a lot easier. Although my warning here is that it does beg questions about how experts, are created over time. We all started doing basic routine work and learnt our craft, and a lot of that work is going to disappear. So some interesting questions about the future of work for another day, perhaps.